All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our final session of the day for the peer-to-peer virtual conference. This is our third time running the conference and the last session of the day. Thank you, everybody that's attended all the sessions, or the ones that you have attended. Hopefully you've been finding them very useful and helpful. The last session of the day is Matching Gift Automation, More Money, Less Problems. Today has been brought to you by a series of several different companies: ACG, Cathexis Partners, HEPData, Op3, and Twilio.org. My name is Mark Becker, and I'm the founding partner of Cathexis Partners, and I'm happy to introduce each session throughout the day. During each session, feel free to submit any questions you have in the GoToWebinar control panel there. Ask questions as you go, as you're thinking of them. We'll get to them as we can, and let us know if you have any problems with sound quality or the session display or anything like that, but so far so good today, no issues there. Looking forward to a great session. We are recording this, so if you have to leave early, we hope you can stay, but if not, we are going to be recording these and making them available after the fact. So with all of that, let me go ahead and turn it over to John.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We have an exciting presentation for you. I'm the Director of Business Development with HEPData, and I think we got a very nice and exciting presentation for you. I want to thank you for joining us with the rest of our peer-to-peer partners. Today's panelists are Tom Mansmith, the Senior Director of Workplace Giving and Matching Gifts at American Cancer Society and a longtime HEP client, and Bill Campbell, Director of Donate Double. Bill was formerly with Red Cross and Habitat for Humanity, in charge of both workplace giving and matching gifts. They'll walk us through the challenges of automation and matching gifts and how it's working for them. I would like to start with you by sharing some matching gift statistics and share with you why you should be pursuing matching gift revenues, so you get a little feel for it. So a lot of you probably are aware that matching gifts usually are matched one-to-one, but 10% of them can be matched times two or doubled or tripled. So anyhow, there are a lot of nice companies out there with very strong programs. Next slide. So I wanted to give you a feel for revenues that some of the colleges and universities out there are getting and what their averages are for matching gifts. As you can see, they've been growing nicely over the years, and they're getting pretty hefty. But I wanted to give you a feel for that, so just $948 is the average for the 600-plus schools that were surveyed last year. Next slide, Bill. So some of the bigger clients, give you a sense for that as well. Big Penn University is doing about $4 million. We have a private high school just outside of Boston with only roughly 10,000 alums. They're doing $100K for the last 5 years. And some of your larger disease-focused nonprofits really get up there and do, like 13 million, and some do more than that, actually. But the good news is matching gifts is growing. The number of companies is growing, and as you can see there, the amount of corporate support received by the institutions surveyed increased 15% over the prior year. So all really good news for all people pursuing matching gifts. Next slide, Bill. Bill, next slide. Here we go. Okay. Just to give you some feel for it, 1 in 10 is donors is matching gift eligible. Finding matching gift eligible donors has gotten a lot easier. We have some very good software that can find 30 to 50% of the employers of your donors or alumni. And revenues, as you saw, is increasing, and I think some of it is due to major gifts. We had, I was chatting with one VP for development, and he took a 1K donor who happened to be a director of multiple companies, and by spreading it over several years, turned it into a $105,000 gift. So directors of publicly traded companies are very nice people to get involved with matching gifts, because the companies they're directors of, all had matching gift programs in this case. So just a couple other ones. The average reporting institution, if you go back one slide there, Bill, yeah, it was 231,677. So that's the colleges and university stats. And every week we add companies. So that's the good news, and we put them into our database. So next slide, Bill. So our speakers, as you can see there by their good pictures of them, are Bill and Tom. And I think without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tom to tell you what's going on at the American Cancer and how they're automating matching gifts. Tom?
John, thank you. Thanks so much, and I thank you for the opportunity to share some of the business processes, some of the innovation that the American Cancer Society has been implementing over the last couple of years. My name is Tom Mansmith. I'm the Senior Director of Workplace Giving and Matching Gifts. I've been with the American Cancer Society for 15 years, primarily in employer and corporate giving. I took over matching gifts 2 years ago as we began to consolidate the American Cancer Society, both just from a business standpoint, but also in matching gifts. Next slide. So today I just wanted to run through a quick what I'll be talking about, and then I'll tell you about it. So we're going to go over kind of what the organization felt and the position that the organization took, I think, regarding matching gifts. I want to share with you some of our current assets that we use in raising matching gift money. Talk to you a little bit about key levers of success. Talk to you a little bit about what we see as innovation outcomes that we've been seeing for the last couple of years, and then give you a little peek at where we're looking as a national organization, because the landscape of matching gifts and corporate giving is changing, and we want to be at the forefront of those changes. Next slide. So the American Cancer Society, like many nonprofit organizations over the last 5 to 10 years, has consolidated. So we went from an organization that had 13 divisions, independent organizations, first to a single organization in terms of our board and our governing body, and then we merged divisions down to 6 regions. And so the American Cancer Society we are one national American Cancer Society, and we have 6 geographical regions across the country. 2 years ago, in June of 2015, we centralized matching gifts. And so prior to that, we had matching gifts being verified and processed across our 13 different divisions. There were hundreds of staff probably who touched matching gifts. It was a low priority. I'm not sure that it was a priority 3-4 years ago. It was money that if we received it, it was great, but I don't think that there was a strategic business objective, and certainly not goaling on it. The attention that it received kind of ebbed and flowed with our fundraising cycles, and so you may know the American Cancer Society has a very strong event-based business model, and so when our signature event, Relay for Life, is happening, there wasn't a lot of other attention given to strategies like matching gifts. I mean, it was inconsistent. It wasn't a focused strategy on matching gifts. So that's where we were pre-consolidation. Today, we have organizational goals. The board of directors sees on a quarterly basis matching gifts, and matching gifts is part of our 3-year growth plan. We utilize Donate Double as an automation on our point of contribution platforms, both on our cancer.org and on our major event-based platforms. We also use Employer Match. And this is really where we started with HEPData. John, I don't know, it's got to be 7 or 8.
At least, yes.
7 or 8 years ago. And really, I think this was really our point of entry into automation. And if you don't know what Employer Match is, it allows both our staff, but also our volunteers and our participants the ability to look up their company, see what their ratios are, be linked directly to their matching gift forms, and we receive thousands of hits on our Employer Match site on a monthly basis. We use promotional push periods for matching gifts. So I think John, you may have mentioned, reaching out, following up with participants in particular. But our push periods, generally speaking, are in early summer and early fall, and that coincides with our event seasons. We centralized our matching gift verification and coding business process. So I have a team of people who do nothing but verify matching gifts. And we work collaboratively with our regions. So we're providing them with coding as they're processing our donor gifts and donor and company matching gift checks. And then finally, we have taken a real strong push in raising the awareness of our frontline field staff about the importance of matching gifts and not leaving dollars on the table. And so individual event staff have strategies and goals, working with teams that they've identified as matching gift company teams to make sure that every participant that is an employee knows that they have a matching gift opportunity. So next slide. So I think for us, and we're we raise a fairly significant amount of money in the matching gift area. When we transition to both consolidating and centralizing our matching gift process and adding automation to our matching gift business process, we had to have organizational buy-in. It was important, in particular, with our event staff, or our event leadership, and our development leadership, for them to understand the potential of matching gifts and the phenomenal return on investment. This is one of the least expensive ways to raise additional funds for an NPO. We work with companies. You work with companies who have the programs in place, and it's the original dollars have already been given, and it's a simple matter of making sure that your donors, our donors, are completing either a online portal request or a hard copy request for the matching gifts. I think, and I mentioned it earlier, but one of our key successes in increasing both volume and overall revenue was having our event staff look at matching gifts as a key success measure at their events. And then finally, I don't think that this is unique to the American Cancer Society, but we recognize matching gifts as part of the total fundraising efforts of our teams. It puts a little extra pressure on us to turn around matching gifts within a short period of time. But many of our corporate teams in particular raise money well in advance of the events. And so we have I suppose it's pressure that we've put on ourselves. But we soft credit our team fundraising with matching gift dollars so that they can be recognized as part of the dollars that they raised at the team level. Next. And so just a few facts without going into great detail, but I'll tell you that in terms of volume over the so we centralized and began automating in 2015. In 2014, just in terms of volume, our volume actually was down 20%, 2013 to 2014. When we centralized and began to automate that first year, we had a half year of data. We increased our volume by 5%. The following year, we increased it by 15%, And this year our volume will be in the double digits, and I'm going to assume that we're going to be in the low 10, 11%. In terms of income, we see a very much the same. We've had double-digit growth in income, so we've had 15 and 20% growth in income for the last 2 years, and I believe that we'll have a positive, we'll be very close to double-digit, if not over double-digit, in matching gifts this year. We significantly increased our product diversification with matching gifts, so don't just think of matching gifts as workplace giving and event-based. When we automated, put a point of contribution matching gift, the donate double functionality on our cancer.org webpage, on our contribution page, we began to see memorial matching gifts. Revenue sources that we have that we'd never seen matching gifts on before, all of a sudden started to have matching gifts. And so our matching gift mix, we are at about 35% payroll deduction, about 40% events, and about 15% other sources. And that's important to us because as NPOs, we see sporadic dips in revenue, and I don't want to have all of my matching gift money coming from a single source of revenue. And so we like to see it diversified. And then finally, cycle time. And this in particular, both with our centralization and automation, we saw dramatic decreases in cycle time. So we went from well over 45 days in processing matching gifts to we set a department goal of verifying every matching gift within 7 business days and processing coding and processing all matching gift checks, and that includes opening and closing pledges for our teams within the 5 business day period. And we needed to do that because we made a commitment to our donors that they would see their matching gifts as part of their event fundraising. So those for us are the things that I measure in terms of matching gifts. Next page. So where we're going in the future, we are pushing out point of contribution activation, and so on our online fundraising, it's funny that NPO, fundraising is one of the few places where people still write checks, but I think if you all know how many checks you receive, but we are seeing an increasing amount of money, as I'm assuming that you do as well, on your online giving. And so we're pushing out matching gifts so that when they make their contribution online with their credit card, that's the first point that we're talking to them about starting their matching gift process. We utilize Donate Double and have seen great success so far, and we're looking forward to pushing it out on more of our platforms. The other area that I just want to, just in terms of the future area, volunteer match is a growing area in matching gifts, and this is an area that we're standing up with some of our other third-party partners like Benevity and Your Cause and Network for Good. We see a huge ability to increase matching gifts through volunteer match. And then finally, mobile fundraising apps. It's an area that we haven't tapped into yet, but definitely it's an area that we're looking to push matching gifts to peer-to-peer mobile fundraising. So I know that was quick, but I hope that you get a sense or a flavor of the American Cancer Society's focus on matching gifts. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tom. That was great. This is Bill Campbell. I'm going to be walking through some of the questions and concerns that happen when you start to launch a matching gift program with peer-to-peer participants. Here are some of the keys to success that will help you grow your matching program, and they'll also talk about kind of some of the demands donors have on you once you invite them in kind of a peer-to-peer relationship, including matching gifts. So some of the keys to success will be identify and educate the donor so they understand not only that their company offers a program, but that they know how to take the next steps. Taking a donor from just a donor to a matching donor, stewarding the donor through the process, and then on the back end, they're reporting the reconciliation. And you could call it stewarding, but you're celebrating both that fundraiser who is committed to you and their donor and your donor that has gone through and finished the match. So I'm going to talk through a little bit, as you start to launch a matching gift program with your peer-to-peer event or your peer-to-peer donors, peer-to-peer donors expect more. They are opening up their network. They are supporting you. They are getting questions and fielding questions from from their different supporters or people who are supporting their event. They'd like to understand the matching gift process. They'd like their donors to understand the matching gift process. They want to know where the money is and at what time they can expect it to come in. And, I always think about it, if you've sent out your event to your Uncle James and Uncle James says he's submitted the matching gift, but yet the nonprofit maybe doesn't see it on their side, at some point you're either going to have to make a decision to credit that fundraiser with that gift and potentially run the risk of maybe not receiving that $100 when it's time to actually do the event, or you would not credit it and then run the risk of upsetting the supporter that's there running your event. With matching automation and some of the services that HEP offers, you're allowed to inform the donor, keep them informed, educate them, and when they ask you, where is my gift in this process, you'll be able to respond to them. So you won't have that hiccup in the road where someone asks, where's my match? And the only response you can say is, we haven't seen it yet. So that's what's really exciting about matching gift automation when it comes to peer-to-peer events. So we talked a little bit about kind of some of the key factors. So identification for peer-to-peer events, identifying who's match eligible, converting them to be a match participant, tracking success, and this is what we kind of hinted at in that last slide, which is going from black box to measurable stats. And then, the importance of getting back to the donor and telling them about the work you're doing. So with identification, one of the best ways to identify whether someone is eligible for a match is to ask them. And this is where Tom's point about buy-in becomes really important, organizational buy-in. Because depending on where the donor is connected to you, through a peer-to-peer event, through a leadership donor ask, through the email newsletter that you send them on a monthly basis, all of those are places where you need to be educating, informing, and then asking, who do you work with? How can we make your gift double the impact and really use your gift to leverage a larger gift and maybe move you up to a leadership level donor? So asking the donor, having it in your mailings, having it in your emails, having a prominent placement within your donation page or on your acknowledgement page. So reaching out to them with where they live and how you connect with them. Then there are services that can append data. So the HEP data employer find tool is an excellent tool to say someone's already donated. We didn't educate them on the front end about the match, but we want to go back and reach back out to them and ask them about this opportunity. It's really easy to use. You work with John or someone else at HEP, and you'll submit your data file. They'll put it through an amazing system of cleaning the data and matching it up to employers, and then you will be able to see where your next outreach can happen, right? So you'll see a percentage of your file that comes back saying these people are match eligible, and then you can start to build your strategy around that. So just my tip on this page, and there'll be a couple tips as we walk through. Create follow-up communication strategies that include the match. We talked through that And and also when it comes to peer-to-peer, educate the people on how to talk about match. I see match as being an excellent secondary follow-up. When people say, "Hey, how can I follow up with my donors? I sent them 2 emails already this week." Well, tell them to send a match email, because that's a new opportunity and a new way to engage them. So converting the match, and I always talk about different ways of converting match. We worked through the idea of adding the messaging, doing a data append, finding out kind of where people want to share the information with you, and then educating them about their matching program. So the great thing about implementing matching right on your donation page and right on your peer-to-peer page. Now, there are peer-to-peer programs that work offline, but most of them are building out online systems and using those, and that makes tying back the match information really easy. And working with HEPData, they offer a product called Match Portal, which leverages the Donate Double technology and integrates into these giving pages, and allows you to not only capture the information, communicate and connect to donors, all the steps they have to take, and then also work with them so that they complete the match. You have all the information tracking the gift on the back end, telling you where the match may happen. And my tip on this one is to really just focus energy on high dollar donors and committed donors. So one thing about peer-to-peer donors is they're already committed to your cause, and they want to make that change. And so getting them to start to share your matching gift message, it can be really powerful. So just, as you think about where you're putting your message for peer-to-peer, really think about integrating it on your giving page or your acknowledgement page, and then make a plan for follow-up. And then we talk about converting the donors. So matching gifts are complicated. When you use our tools, you use HEP's tools, they give all the information that your donors need to complete the match. So you can provide that through the search, you can provide that as part of our integration on donation pages, and you can provide that information via a mailing or an email to encourage them. Once again, a couple different ways to make this work, either through adding the information in donor data append and reaching out to them proactively after they've already given, adding the ability to do a search to your website with some of HEP's products, and then adding the ability to do it all part of the donation page. So really try to commit today about making it part of every ask, and working internally to really build that organizational commitment to match. And one of the places where it's easier to get buy-in is converting the donor from a regular donor to a leadership donor in your organization. So that's one of the places where people want to see that growth, and try to position match as a step-up program, as well as position it within your peer-to-peer program as a way to grow the dollars you raise through those events by 10 to 20%. So one of the ways HEP helps you, and this is just showing you more of that process after they donate on their donation page. We automate the process on the back end, so we provide them the forms and all the information they need to complete their match. So we make it super easy, and then we give you all the information to follow up with the donor. We also track all of the matches that come through. So we can show you who's pursued a match, who's qualified for a match, and who's submitted a match. And then we give you all the information for reporting and crediting. And this is super important on peer-to-peer because, it's that question we started out with was when do you credit the donor? How do you update the thermometer that a donor is seeing and using? How do you continue to inspire them to go out and ask more people? And the way we do this is, as part of our online integration, we capture the donation trail so that you can always tie the match back to an individual. And so now you have the information to choose when to credit back the donation page. And I was trying to more work with kind of general rules here on this presentation instead of just talking about product highlights. But, so some of the decisions you need to make within your organization are who gets credit, when, and how. So most MPOs will credit corporate teams with matching dollars or the corporate level, and sometimes they don't tie it down to the individual. You have the risk of that donor data being limited to be able to tie it down to the individual. So often most people will kind of either hope that the dollars comes in or upset their donor in the process, and may credit that company when they receive the check, but don't have a way of tying it back. What we do is through our tracking is provide self-service reports, additional data, so that you can tie it back. And so my tip on this page is use updates in tracking or updates on matching as a way to encourage fundraisers. So whenever you see a check come in, or whenever you have additional information for updating people, whether you use our systems or not, make sure you go back out and remind fundraisers that this is where you are on the matching gifts this year, this is where your goals are, because that will continue to remind them to ask. They're as interested in achieving their goals on individual levels, on peer-to-peer levels, as the person in charge of matching gifts is interested in achieving their annual goal. And so just to kind of wrap it up, around having a successful matching gift program, really think about removing the friction from the donation process. Consider, batching match transactions or getting the information together in a centralized way, as Tom spoke about. Try to simplify your reporting and verification. And then if you use our software, we will actually do a lot of these steps for you. So by using the HEPData's information in their search as well as their Match Portal product, really helps simplify the process of matching. And that was my part of the presentation. I think we're going to open it up for questions now.
Yes. Well, thank you, Bill and Tom. That was really great sharing with us on matching gifts there, and we do have some questions. So let me start off. The first question is: the software available in Canada or just in the U.S.? I'll handle part of that.
Yes.
There are a number of companies who have matching gift programs in Canada, and yes, there's a separate Canadian database of companies that have programs, and yes, you can put that up on your website so donors can do searches. And the University of Toronto has one for Canadian, and has one for the U.S. Exactly a place where people can search and see if their company has a matching gift program. And actually, international is growing a lot. We just signed up somebody in Sydney, Australia, with the same thing. So it's a worldwide thing. But any other thoughts, Bill, on the software? Would it work in Canada as well?
Yeah, it would work in Canada. It's basically, we have a couple of different variable databases that we use that include Canadian companies. So yes, it will work in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think this one is for Tom. Tom, the question is from Courtney. How do you receive the match in 7 days? Many of our donors doing matches, we don't see the money for 6 months or later.
Right. So when I was saying right, so matching gift companies pay out matching gifts either 30, 60, 90 day, depending on the agreements that they have, either with their third-party vendors like Benevity and Your Cause, or in some instances, they're running their matching gift programs internally. You're right. What I was saying was when we receive a matching gift verification email, we're turning that email around. So we're verifying the original contribution within our a 7-day window. And when we receive the check from the company, we're coding, processing, creating pledges within the business week. I mean, our volume, we processed, I don't know, 35,000 matching gift requests and checks last year. So we have a pretty heavy volume, and I have a staff of 5. So we're busy, and felt like that was a decent commitment to our events and to our donors.
Okay, thank you. And a couple other questions. Tom, maybe you could answer this one. It's how high can you take matching gifts? How high is up, I guess. Hello? Tom?
Tom, are you there?
Yeah, Tom, are you there?
Well, I can speak to this a little bit. Really, they're depending on the audience and the channel, and I think this is what makes peer-to-peer so strong, because of their commitment to the cause already, is that, we've seen people do anywhere from 8 to 10% of their online revenue, and then in peer-to-peer, some groups have broken out into a 20% of their online, like getting 20% of their peer-to-peer program matched. So, there is some upside to it, some growth. I will say some of it depends on how well your audience is educated about the program, as well as how easy you make it for them to take the next steps. So, I think there can be a lot of growth. I know that Tom's group is somewhere around 13 million annually, I believe, and they're working on strategies to create, to create continued growth in the matching piece.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you. I got a couple other questions on international here in Netherlands. From ARCO, and yes, there are quite a number of British companies that have schemes. I think the number would be probably 600 or so companies in the UK. A lot of those have a US presence, so it works for both UK and US, and some do it around the world actually. So yes, it's not as robust as the US database, but it's quite a few companies. The next question is, as Donate Double been used at higher education institutions? That's from Lori.
We've talked to people. The ones we've talked to have all kind of signed on or looked at the Match Portal product, and so we have one university or one college using it now, and they've had some decent success. But it's definitely an area that we'd like to see growth. But more importantly, John, why don't you talk about some of the, I think, all the product lines, all the product items that HEP uses, because a ton of universities do them.
Yeah, there's just universities, Lori, use a lot of the employer find product that we have, finding, their matching gift eligible donors, and we can find quite a few people, hundreds or thousands of people, depending on the size of your institution, and getting hit rates of finding 30, 40%, 50% of employer information for your alumni is a frequent result of our employer match, and anyhow, it works out quite nicely to build your database of match eligible donors, and then you can solicit them throughout the year, and really increase your matching gifts by using that product. So another question is on reminders. How frequently, how important? Bill, you want to handle that one?
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that follow-up is very important. And so this is kind of the question there, because you're going to be linking to your matching gift search. You're going to be linking to the additional information around matching gifts that you're trying to provide, and then basically, or you're going to be using the Match Portal service to automate the process and send people emails with all the information where they need to take the next steps. We do a series of 3 reminders over a period of 2 weeks, all via email, and we actually find that most of our donors that take action. Sorry about that. Some feedback there. Most of our donors that take action on the 2nd or 3rd email that we send. So reminders are important because there are some steps that the donor has to take.
Got another question here. Do you have any tips for small nonprofits who are just getting started with implementing a matching gift program? I have one suggestion that there's several webinars on our website in the Learning Center that are sort of strictly directed at small nonprofits. There's a private high school up in just outside of Boston, the one that I cited earlier in the presentation. It's doing $100K a year, and there's lots of tips, and they've done several webinars with us, and I would direct you there and you can certainly call us offline, and we're happy to give you some suggestions as well. Bill, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll just put in the second vote for for some of the webinars that are on the HEPData site. So when I was at Habitat for Humanity, and I know it's a large organization, but basically you still have to find the organizational buy-in and build the case for matching gifts within your organization. And I used a lot of presentations off of that education center to build a case for kind of more support for matching gifts. So definitely use that. In addition, I would say start to think about where you're going to place messages, or where you're going to, how you're going to talk to your donor base. And then third, I would look to kind of HEPData's search database that they have. That it's an eFind, a really great resource, and it's really cost efficient, and that allows you to start that matching gift conversation and then drive people to that search link to kind of find out what more they can do. And then if you start to grow your program, you're thinking, well, we need to have something that's a little more automated, then I would step up and look at their Match Portal product.
Okay, and let's see. I think that's about it. I don't see any more questions. So I want to thank everybody for coming. If you have questions, obviously you can follow up with myself or Bill and or Tom, I guess. We're happy to answer your questions, and really appreciate you joining us this afternoon here at the peer-to-peer virtual.
Yeah, thank you everybody for attending today. Thank you to John and Bill and Tom, and again, thank you for all the attendees today. Hope you learned a lot. I know I have. Thanks everybody for a great day, and we'll see you again next year. Take care.